Grand Risings. Ahoy there. Good afternoon. Good evening. All the things. All the greetings. Blessed day. Today I wanted to talk about a little bit of an extension of the last video about the pain parcels, and I was thinking about one of the last statements I suppose that I made in that video was about people's diverse opinions and thoughts on Christmas, and it got me thinking actually about how my own thought process has changed about Christmas over the years. It's been quite a gradual change, but it has been a big change. And it's kind of gone from like very capitalist, consumerist Christmas to a very minimalist Yule solstice celebration. We as a family tend to celebrate it now. We've celebrated it on the actual winter solstice instead of the actual Christmas day. I would say for a good 8 years, maybe 7 or 8 years, we've celebrated it on the winter solstice day, on the 21st, not the 25th. And it was mainly just to minimalise the work involved. We wanted to celebrate the shortest day and to kind of celebrate the light coming back and have a fire and have food and a sort of a celebration. But didn't want to do that as well as give ourselves loads of work to do on Christmas Day. So he was like, okay, we're going to celebrate Yule solstice, so we'll open our presents on Yule, and we'll just have that day as a celebration. And actually it turned out to be really nice, because then it was like, well, everyone's busy on Christmas Day, like everything's shut, what should we do on Christmas Day? And it became like a day of doing nothing. It became a complete, it was almost like a gift in itself. It was just like, here you go, here's this spare day and you can do whatever the fuck you want. It was like, nice, don't have to get washed, don't have to get dressed, don't have to go out, don't have to have people around, we don't have to go anywhere, there's nothing to do. We definitely know that there's going to be no phone calls made or official things to do or appointments or emails, nobody haranguing us, nobody saying you've got to do this X, Y and Z. Like everything is pretty much closed now for a few days at least. And it became like a really beautiful gift. And it's like, right, well, we don't do any chores on that day. We don't, we could just do what we want. And as time went by, I'll explain where I've come from in a minute, like just the whole, such a difference, such a contrast in how we spend our Christmas now to how we used to spend it. Yeah, I've forgotten where I was. I've lost track, but it's okay. Well, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Is I keep getting distracted. There's birds everywhere. So we used to spend it. I used to spend it quite intensely working over Christmas. It felt there was a lot of. I don't suppose there was expectation from an external perspective, really. The only expectations that you can ever have are on yourself. Like, you're the person that takes on those projections and you're the person that takes on those expectations. So I actually used to put a lot of expectations on myself to make Christmas this big, exciting, fun, beautiful experience for the kids. And I used to decorate my whole house with lights, like the whole house. All outside would be decorated. All the trees like outside that I had in the front garden, I used to put lights in, and I used to hang icicle lights on the guttering, and I used to put net lights in the windows, and I used to have lights in the windows upstairs and on the tree and around the fireplace and around the kitchen doorway. And then when the kids were quite young, I used to buy a lot of new presents. And then it became like this whole sort of, I mean, I used to spend quite a significant period of time running up to Christmas, like buying the odd little present and, you know, storing them away, trying to like find somewhere for them to go. And then as I had more children, especially going from like 1 to 4, like quite quickly, like having triplets, all of a sudden like, you have got like 1 child and then 4 children. And it's like, shit. That's a lot of presents to buy. And so it became like this thing where I started to look at things in charity shops. And the biggest winner there, it wasn't just like the reduction in price, but it was like, we don't have to spend the whole day unboxing all the gifts and like undoing all the bloody cable ties and the little twisty ties and taking off all the packaging and like finding somewhere for that to go and putting batteries in things, and oh my goodness me, and it just became such an easier, it made the day easier. And I would buy presents for other people, like when my kids were at school, it would be you know, for the teachers and for extended relatives. And then I would, you know, go out and buy all the stuff, all the food stuff, and make a big meal. And it just became like this, a lot of work and a lot of expense. And as time went on, started to think about the wrapping. Like, I would spend quite a significant period of time beforehand wrapping the bloody things as well. And it's like, do I really need to wrap all these presents? You know, I have I'm a very busy mum. I'm doing a lot. There's a lot of things going on in my life. Do I really want to be spending my evenings wrapping presents? Or could I just maybe put them into a sack and like have them pull them out? That's a lot easier. So we did that. And as the years went on, it just became like something else became highlighted as to being like very unnecessary, and like, well, why do we do that? Like the cards, for instance, writing cards to so many people and sitting there writing all these cards to everybody and then giving them a card. But I've seen you. Do I need to give you a card to say Happy Christmas, or can I just say, oh, Happy Christmas? You know, cards used to be a thing that we sent to people that we weren't going to see. Why would I go to see somebody and then also give them a card just because that's become a thing? Like, if I haven't given them a card, I'm somehow a bad person, or our relationship, you know, isn't a very good one, or I don't care about them because I've not sent them a card. And just so many things about the whole event became weird to me, like the thought of them. And it just, why do we do that? Like, why have we taken this period of time that is supposed to be about, you know, winter is supposed to be about hibernating, going inwards, allowing that period of darkness. And it's actually a really necessary part of our yearly cycle, is to rest and to recuperate and to go inwards and to be still and to allow the dark in. and to celebrate the returning of the light. You know, it's in the darkness that we see the light. You know, if everything's always light, then you don't appreciate it, and just became this very busy time. Like the less we did at Christmas, the more I actually acknowledged how busy everybody else was, how much everybody else was actually doing, and how much everybody else was actually spending. And all of these expectations that people were putting on themselves. And a lot of times I would pick up on this underlying tone of stress and anxiety and resentment, and just there was a lot of people that I was, it'd be so nice to just not do anything this year. It'd be so nice to just relax and not have to worry about buying all this food and cook. I've got these relatives coming and they always complain about this, and it just felt like, why can't you just turn up? Why do you have to make all this, you know? Yeah, if you want to. I'm not saying don't do it if you want to. If you want to wrap all those presents and you enjoy doing that and that makes you happy, but for some people that's quite intense. It's quite, you know, to judge a relationship, especially a familial one that's supposed to be unconditional, and the space that you can be your authentic self, you know, that you're supposed to be able to be your worst self around your family and around your loved ones, you know. And that doesn't mean we treat our loved ones like shit. That is not the interpretation that I'm expecting people to take from that. But if you feel like you don't have anything to give that year, like energy-wise, time-wise, money-wise, then you should be able to just turn up with nothing and go, do you know what? Like, I love you, and I've come to spend time with you this year, and I don't expect you to pick apart how I've you know, turned up. I don't expect you to say, well, you haven't brought me a card and you haven't brought me a present, and oh, have you not even wrapped it? If you do bring a present and it just happens to have come in like a recycled bag or just a carrier bag or a beautiful piece of cloth maybe that you've got, here you go, that's what I've done with your present today, because it's just the thought of sellotaping it all together and making it look pretty and buying wrapping paper and why do we have to do that in order for it to be acceptable, you know, to be an acceptable human being, to have done Christmas correctly and considerately? It just felt like really unnecessary. And so I stopped sending cards, and despite, you know, some of the people that I knew, family members included, saying that they wish that he didn't have to send cards, I had like slightly snarky comments about, oh, haven't had a card from you this year, or oh, I've put last year's card up. Does it matter? Do you need to have a card up? Like, why are you that bothered about having a piece of fucking paper that's folded in half on display so that if people happen to come round your home, oh, bless you, that you can say, oh yeah, I've had these cards. These are the people that have thought about me over Christmas. Like, I stopped sending cards because it felt unnecessary. Like, why would I'm just going to send you a piece of dead tree with my name on it, despite the fact that I've seen you several times over the Christmas period. And, you know, or we might have like not. I'm pretty certain I gave somebody a gift that was in like a paper bag. It was a paper bag that we had left, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that would be a good thing to put the present in. They wrapped it so that it could go under their tree and look nice. They wrapped it. It wasn't good enough. It didn't come in an acceptable package that looked good under their tree, so they wrapped that present up and put it under their tree. Oh, okay. I just let them do what they were doing. I mean, I didn't take it personally, thankfully, at the time. But it just felt like, why would you bother? I didn't comprehend it. Like, there was no offence taken. I just didn't understand why you would bother doing that. Like, why it mattered so much. Why it I'm not ashamed of my gift. Like, if you don't want it, then don't have it. It's fine. People do weird things. But, and so over the years, a lot of things have fallen away gradually and kind of naturally. It's not been forced. And the kids have been part of this journey. When they were younger, there was a period of time when they were quite little, I suppose, where I did do most of the stuff. Despite being in a relationship, I would have been the person buying the gifts. I would have been the person going out and buying the food. I would have been the person decorating the house. I would have been the person buying the decorations. I would have been putting the tree up and putting the lights up and preparing everything and organising everything. And unfortunately, even in today's society, a lot of those duties fall on the woman of the household. Woman, I'm going to put that in little juiced. The female, it does tend to be a very female based responsibility. It is usually the woman that tends to cook and organise things and wrap the gifts and make sure that the gifts are all organised and it, I mean, you don't have to. It doesn't have to. That is it's a role that is taken on. Like, really, you don't have to take it on. Just because someone expects you to do it, it doesn't mean that you have to put that expectation. You have to take on that expectation. And I suppose that's what I stopped doing. I stopped doing that and going, well, why do I have to do it all? Like, so if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. It doesn't get done. So you're basically holding me responsible for making Christmas this beautiful, perfect package. And, especially as like social media's blown up over the years and like a lot of people take photos of their Christmas decorations and the cookies that they've made and the presents that they've had and the outfits that they've bought and the office parties that they go to and the tree and the lights and the wreaths and the things that they do and go to and events that they attend and presents that they buy and places that they go and activities that they engage in that are all Christmas based. Went to this Christmas fair and look at this that we've done and look at this place that we've gone to and look at this thing that we've bought and look at this thing that we've made and even when it, like, if you try and strip away all the consumerist stuff, like a lot of people will try to do it like, the handmade gifts and the handmade decorations and the eco decorations, but then they are then perpetuating that slightly ego-based, like, well, look at me, I've done it this way, and look at me, I'm doing it the eco way, and I'm doing it handmadely, if that's even a word. And and it can be very like, it can put a lot of like, people can look at these and go like, oh, well, I'm not doing it that way, and this self-inflicted expectation of like, oh, like my social media doesn't look as good as that person's, and I fuck that shit. I can't even be bothered with that. And one of the things that really helped start this journey was I read years ago this really cool thing that somebody only bought their children 4 presents, and they did this beautiful thing, and it was something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. And it was like, right, okay, so that literally, like, I have a structure now, 4 presents each. You can tell me what you want, and you can write a little list, and you can decide what you would like. And there was like a little, like, sort of spending cap on each thing, on each category. And the only thing that they were allowed to swap a present for money was the want. And obviously, you know, I didn't sort of dismiss the fact that they might want to save some money up or put other money together and buy something bigger, like a camera or a musical instrument, say for instance. And so if they wanted money, they could put money, and that spending cap would be what they got. But if, say, you know, they wanted a book and the book didn't come to that spending maximum, they didn't get anything extra. It didn't become about how much it cost. It became about the value of the item, not the money that was involved. So obviously, if I could get like that book on, there's an amazing site, I think it's called Better World Books. I think it is. I will double check when I edit this video, and I'll put the little link in the descriptions or in the pinned comments. But it's a place where they receive donated books, and then they sell them based on the condition, I think, that they're in. So if it's like in a really good condition, they'll sell it for slightly more, and if it's in like a really poor condition and you're not bothered about the condition of the book, you can get it for a lot cheaper, which I think is amazing, because it means that like books aren't dismissed just because it's a bit tatty. That doesn't always necessarily matter, and it goes to like really good causes. So I quite liked that. We couldn't always get the books that the kids wanted on that website, but more often than not we could, and I thought that was a really cool idea. But it was really nice watching them like sit down together, and the present sort of ideas became another opportunity. It became like another connecting opportunity. So they would sit down and they'd be like, oh, like, because they had to think, it had to be within this category, and it became really fun for them to sit and go, oh, well, what have you got? And well, if I swap, like, they might have had two things that were like clothing items, and it'd be like, well, is that a want or is that a need? And then be like, well, yeah, if I have it as a need, then if it's like, say, I don't know, shoes, you need shoes. Well, not all the time, but for them, they needed shoes. And so it'd be like, oh, well, if I put that as a need, then I can have that as a wear, and then my want can be money. And it would be really cool watching them like have this little experience together. And then also what I started doing was, because I didn't want it to just be about them receiving presents, because they were younger, and obviously it still falls on the, oh, beautiful grey cat, hey cat. It's just looking at me like, I'm going to show you. Say, hey cat, how you doing, guy? What are you up to? How you doing? I've never seen this guy before. He's very handsome. Looks very serious. Has a very serious face. Yes. Yeah, anyway, there you go. Just thought I'd involve the cat there that's just stopped to watch me. He's got his beady eyes on me. So yeah, what I also started to do, because I didn't want it to, like, when you have little children, if they want to buy presents, it still again falls on the responsibility falls on the parent to go, right, well, you don't have your own money, so I'm going to give you that money for you to buy presents for other people. But obviously I can't send you out on your own to go and buy these presents. So then it's another thing that we have to do, where we have to go and buy presents for other people that you want to buy presents for. Like, this is a whole new thing. Kids give presents now as well. And, so I had to buy presents for other relatives from the kids, and then presents for their friends from the kids, and presents for the other parent from the kids. So it becomes like on me again. It was on me to do that with them, and it was like, actually, do you know what else we should be doing? It's not just about like taking and receiving. It is also about giving. And not everybody gets to receive. at that time of year. So let's give to people that might not receive. Let's think about doing something that's not just about us, and you know, giving to our friends and our families, so that it's about, oh yes, look, I've given you this. We wanted to do something that was a bit more charity based. So I would allocate each child £10, and they would have to pick a charity or a cause. It didn't have to be a charity, and they had to spend that. They couldn't just give the £10. It's not like, oh, just wing £10 over. I wanted them to physically go and decide what they were going to buy. So like, say if it was an animal shelter, they would have to go and buy £10 worth of products. So toys or food or litter, you know, that kind of thing. And also to think about the things that charity, that shelter space might need. Like, so some places need blankets, so they might go out and do something different, like go to some charity shops and buy some cheap blankets to send to the shelter, and then they would have to physically take it. I would take them to physically take it, so it wasn't like I was getting them presents and I was wrapping it up for them and then I was sending it to. They were having to do it. And there was an amazing charity actually that they really enjoyed doing for it. Was like the rucksack charity, I think it was called, or the rucksack project. I can't quite remember what it was called. But it was like, you basically put items of stuff into a rucksack, and that would be given to a homeless person so they could carry their stuff around, which I thought was a beautiful like idea. Actually, it was really, really beautiful, because quite often, you know, homeless people get their things confiscated by the police and stuff, or stolen from, you know, by other people and whatnot, or they might store it somewhere and it get picked up as rubbish. Yeah, or like, you know, the food bank, they would take the £10, we'd go to the shops and they would buy the food and try and get as much like filling and nutritious food as possible for the food bank, and then they would go and put it into the food bank donation point, and that was quite a nice thing to do. They actually used to really enjoy doing that when they were little. And you know, and then it became like, oh, we're not going to do it on Christmas Day, we're going to do it on solstice. So that was another thing that dropped away, like really doing that. We don't do Christmas now. We don't do Christmas, we do solstice. So, you know, this is the day that we're going to celebrate it. If you would like to join us, you're very welcome to join us. But then after that, we're going to rest. We're going to chill. We're going to do nothing. The kids have decided that they're quite busy all year. And as are most people, working, school runs, kids, family, bills, shopping, socialising. And then we go like, oh, do you know what we're going to do at this time of year when we're supposed to be resting? We're going to like amp it up and turn everybody up. And you have to do even more. Then travel 100 miles to go and see that relative and give them their present, and go and see that person and give them their present. And like, people are just exhausted. Like, we were exhausted at the end of it sometimes, like with all the things that people coming to see us, and sometimes it felt like we didn't really have a choice. Well, we did, obviously, but at the time it felt like we didn't. Like, if we didn't say, yes, you can come round to our house and see us, it felt like we were being rude. And actually, we don't want anyone to come round over the Christmas period. We'd quite like to just be still. We'd quite like to just rest and relax and have space to breathe and just be quiet and not have to do anything. And so we gifted ourselves that, and it was beautiful. And then as the kids got older, like some of them obviously, you know, have moved out, as I said at the beginning, but they were like starting to pay for their own presents and their own gifts, and there became a thing where like some of them had more money than the others, and it was like, well, I can't afford to buy every one of you a gift. I can't afford to. And it was like, well, you don't have to. So we decided to start doing Secret Santa, which was amazing. I think last year was the first time we did it. I think possibly the year before. I can't remember. Yeah, we started to do Secret Santa. So between all of us, we one gift. Unless, some of them wanted to buy extra gifts. But they didn't expect a gift back. It wasn't like, but I bought you a gift. You've got to buy me a gift. There was no expectations. We weren't judging each other's relationships and amount of love we had for each other based on the present that we'd given each other. And there was no expectation to turn up in a certain way with a certain dress code, with a certain, attitude. It was like, just come as you are. Come as you are. How you feel comfortable, what you have to give that day is enough. It's enough. You are enough. Your presence is present enough. And it's been a very beautiful transition. Very beautiful transition from extreme consumerist capitalist Christmas to minimalist, chill the fuck out solstice. And it's definitely something that people don't gift themselves enough, So many things that people buy at this time of year, and things that are literally just made specifically for Christmas. And it's just so much of it, It's just like, yep, nope. Choosing not to engage quite so much has been very liberating. And yes, it might come with some people trying to project onto you that you're a bad human being for not engaging with Christmas, or that you're somehow selfish, or you're a Grinch, or you're a Scrooge. And no, actually, I choose to not take on those projections. Quite often it is, and it's not always, there's never an always. There is never an always. Quite often, those projections come from a place of somebody not feeling like they can choose how to spend their Christmas. And I feel that we should all gift ourselves that, And it's okay to spend Christmas on your own. If that's how you wish to choose it. It is okay to have periods of time where we don't do anything. Where we're not consistently bustling around, buying, consuming, doing, facilitating, hosting. Like, that can be a bloody great big job in itself. Like, this expectation that you have to host people for Christmas and put on this beautiful meal and make sure that everybody's feeling entertained and seen and heard and they're comfortable, and do you have a drink, and have you had enough to eat, and it's too much. It was for us anyway. It was for us. And especially when you think that, like, sometimes throughout the year you might not even engage with a lot of these people. You're literally, I felt that, there was this I put that expectation on myself. Nobody else really can put an expectation on you. They can try. They can try to put an expectation on you, but you don't have to receive that expectation. So really, it was me. I could sit here and say, well, they were putting expectations on me, but it was me that was allowing them to. I take accountability for that and responsibility for what I received and took on. But it can feel like I made myself feel like if I didn't engage with these people at certain times of the year, then I was somehow a bad relative. And actually, these people hadn't given me any they hadn't really given me any thought. They hadn't, this whole idea as we send cards and gifts to people on birthdays and Christmas. But I'm not going to engage with you at any other time of the year. I'm not going to text you to see how you're doing. I'm not going to see if you want any support. Do you need any help? I'm your family member. You know, how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you? Are you okay? Would you like to spend some time together? Would you like to meet up and have a coffee? As long as we tick those birthdays and Christmases off, then we're good. It's a bit, I found it a bit weird and a bit hypocritical that these people that didn't obviously care enough to engage with me felt like they were ticking the family boxes or the friend boxes if they sent me something at Christmases and birthdays. It just felt wrong. And then when you give a gift as well, it can sometimes come with this expectation, like, well, I've given you one, no, you have to give me one. And if you don't, again, you're sort of taking but not giving. And gifts can come with like quite a big responsibility. When you give somebody a gift, it doesn't very often come with no strings attached. I would literally just want to give you a gift because I want to give you a gift. Because I saw this thing and I thought of you, and I connected this thing with you because I know you and I see you and I hear you and I love you and I care about you. And if you don't ever get me anything back, that's fine. But I wanted to give it because I wanted to give it. Not because I was ticking a box, not because it felt like if I didn't do it I was a bad family member or friend, or that you were going to somehow think that I didn't love you or care about you. But when you give somebody a gift, you give them a fucking responsibility. You give them a job to do. You give them the job of receiving the gift. You give them the job of looking at it and going, oh, yeah, thank you. They have to take that on and receive it. They might already have it. They might not want another fucking thing in their house. Like, they might just not want something extra to deal with. They might not want to have to, you know, if they say they don't like it, are you going to be okay with that? Are you going to be able to receive that in an okay way? Oh, I've already got one of these. I really appreciate you buying me a gift, but actually I don't want this gift. I don't want an extra thing. Is that okay? Is that going to be okay? Or do you give them the responsibility of having to be polite and go, oh, thank you. I really appreciate this. This is lovely. This is exactly what I wanted. Then they've got to find somewhere to put it, and they've got to look after it. If they accidentally break it, are you going to think that maybe they haven't looked after it enough, or considered it enough, or appreciated it enough? I got given a cup once and was told off for using it. That I hadn't just put it somewhere because it was like a memory cup. It had a picture of a memory on it. A photo. Wasn't allowed to use it. That's just stupid. You know, I was supposed to put it somewhere so that everybody can see this memory, this cup had a memory on it. It's supposed to get on my shelf and not be used. Told off for using the present that I was given. I was given a gift and I was told off for using it. Yeah, but you might break it if you use it. I know what you're like, you'll break it. Probably, yeah, but I was at least using it. I was getting some use out of it. Is that not what you want? Could do with a cup, not an ornament. I need a cup. And it's just these things that, like, just made me realise that the things that we do and the things that we say and the things that the way that we celebrate Christmas just felt weird to me. They didn't feel right, and I chose to say, no, I'm going to do it this way, and if you don't like it, then that's not my problem. And it was, yeah. And now I absolutely love seeing people celebrate Christmas in the way that they wish. And, you know, sometimes this idea of being lonely at Christmas stems from the fact that we've made it this big thing that it's supposed to be. And actually, if you didn't make it into such a huge, massive deal, like, just took the fucking the excess out of it, maybe some people wouldn't feel quite so like, oh, I haven't done this thing and I haven't engaged with that and I haven't done that and I haven't done this and I haven't seen that person and everybody else is doing that but I haven't done it. Does that mean I'm wrong? Does that mean I'm not, you know, I don't know, all the things. All the things. Not everybody has that amount of money to spend. Not everybody has that amount of energy to give. You know? It's a lot of expectation. Strip yourself from it if you want. You're allowed to. And so, yeah, there you go. I just wanted to chat about our journey. And this year we all cooked together, and it was really easy. We just banged a load of, like, you know, easy to cook food in, and we put it on a table and people went to eat it as and when they felt like it, and it was that simple. And I you know, when the kids were younger, I always used to get them to help. And you know, it's not okay for people to just think that one person doing all that work is like dead easy, because it's not. When they used to have to clear up after themselves, and you know, any wrapping that there might have been, well, you can tidy that away and you can do that, and could you help me do this, and could you help do the dishes, and could you help me clean up please? They started to realise that that's a lot of work for one person to do on one day. And they themselves were like, yeah, like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. We don't decorate now, we don't put decorations up. We did have a period of time of making decorations when they were little, and they enjoyed doing that kind of thing, but they don't really enjoy doing that now. So who would it be for? What would be the point? I'm not bothered. We used to put, like, you know, cut ivy and holly down and other greenery and put that in, and then it just kind of felt like, well, we're just cutting bits of living things off and letting them die and then chucking them away. So that kind of felt a bit pointless, a bit silly, a bit unnecessarily destructive. Same with the little tree. We got rid of the fake tree and we started putting a little one in the house, a little live one, and then it was like, well, after a couple of years it was kind of like, well, what do we do with this tree now? We've bought this tree. What do we do with it? We can't put it in the garden because it was going to grow massively and we don't have the space. It just felt unnecessary. It felt like really sad, actually, when we thought about it. Like, this tree has literally only been made for somebody to just use, stick in their house and then get rid of. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't felt unnecessary. And it didn't, putting all the stuff up didn't change how we enjoyed Christmas. One thing we do have in our house, though, Christmas songs and Christmas films. My youngest, most of the year, it's ever so nice because it's the one time of year that he's not quite so pessimistic. He's quite well, he would say a realist. He would say he's a realist, and I would say he's slightly pessimistic. He doesn't really get on with people very much. But at Christmas, from the 1st of December, he has a continuous Christmas playlist playing. All the old ones, you know, the traditional ones, the old sort of Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra and Wham and Paul McCartney and all, you know, all the cool old-fashioned ones. He really likes those, and he has them playing continuously, and we have them playing in the house, and then we spend a few weeks beforehand, like maybe watching the odd Christmas film, and yeah, that just being together. Just being together. And it genuinely hasn't changed how much we enjoy Christmas, how much we enjoy the festive period, whatever word you want to use. It has just meant that we appreciate it like so much more. We appreciate it, you know? We appreciate the stillness, we appreciate the time together, we appreciate the one or two gifts that we receive. We appreciate what we have, you know? I can't really tell what they are, but there's like a little group. Little tiny birds just flying around in a group, twittering away. And so, yeah, that's been our journey. It wasn't like a, let's just cut everything out because we want to sacrifice and go without and not enjoy ourselves. If anything, it helps us to enjoy it more because we don't feel the need to do it for other people. We do it for ourselves. We don't feel the need to compete and to compare. We don't feel the need to spend a shit ton of money and energy and time, and it's really beautiful. It's been really beautiful. It's been such a beautiful journey. And we really do appreciate each other's presence. We appreciate each other's time. We appreciate each other's energy. It helps us to hold our time, energy, and resources. It doesn't have to be about money, but resources. It helps us to hold our resources sacred and to recognize when we might not have anything to give, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be a thing to give. It can just be our presence. Our presence is present enough. Wouldn't it be a wonderful time of year if everybody felt the same way? If to just turn up would be enough. To just be there, just be together would be enough. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. I thought it would be really cool to do a live poetry reading on Boxing Day, I think. Yeah, Boxing Day. That's when I've set it for. If you fancy joining me. I'm trying to do different things. So there you go. That's something I'm going to do. It means that I shall be actually engaging with the live and not just sitting here. Some people have said that they use the chat, but because I'm not looking at my phone or a screen when I'm doing my live meditations, I don't see them. So it would be really nice to engage with you, to have a conversation, to chat and to just be together and spend some time and space and energy together. Yeah, and I thought it'd be really nice to just read some of my poetry and my spoken word, and maybe if you've got your own that you want to write in the chat. I was trying to think how other people could share their poetry, because it would be, I was thinking like, oh, it'd be really nice if we could like read other people could read their poetry out, but obviously you can't. So if you would like to read your poetry in the write it down in the chat, and maybe I could read it out for other people, or they can read it as well. That would be so beautiful for you to share your words. Yeah, and there you go. That's me today. Merry Christmas Eve. I genuinely hope that you get to do the things that you want to do, and you find some time to just be. You don't have to be rushing around everywhere. You don't have to be trying to give and do. You can just be. It's okay. I love you so very much. Yeah, blessings on your day.